Hello and welcome to the first new user video on Inspection Support Network. This video will be how to add users and decide how much of the system you want them to see. The first thing we need to do is log into your Inspection Support Network or ISN. You'll see in the upper left-hand corner is your URL or your address to get to your specific and unique Inspection Support Network. You'll see in this example it says inspectionsupport.net/test. You might have for ISN or something else instead of inspectionsupport.net, but after that you'll have a / and you'll have what we call your company key. It's important that you understand what your company key is, so if you need help from the ISN support team, they can go directly to your specific ISN to help you out. You'll notice in the middle of the screen username and password. Your username is typically your first initial and your last name, all lowercase with no spaces. When you ordered your Inspection Support Network, the owner probably was set up by our support team. We usually put your username as your first initial and your last name, all lowercase. You can add the rest of your users and you can decide what their username is. Under your password, if the ISN team has set you up, your password will simply be the word password, all lowercase and no spaces. We would recommend, of course, that you change that after you get logged in for security reasons. So let's go ahead and get logged in. I'm going to put ISN for our login for this example. And I'm going to put in our password and hit login. Now that you've logged into your Inspection Support Network, I'd like to draw your attention to the blue line across the top where it says Administration. We're going to go to Administration and User Administration. Administration, and User Administration. Now in this specific case, in our test environment, you'll see that there's other users already added. Your ISN probably only has one person, that's the owner, that signed up for ISN, and you'll need to add in all the rest of your users. You can do so by clicking in the upper left-hand corner the green box that says Add a New User. So let's go ahead and add a new user. So let's go ahead and add my username, D. Huber, all lowercase. And I'm going to put in my first name and my last. And you'll notice once you have the first and last name, your display name is always your complete name. Then I'm going to put in my email address. And you do not need a URL. If you do, it's usually to a bio page that might possibly be on your website. As we scroll down, you'll see that you need to save the user before you can add your photo of this inspector or team member. You'll see under photos that you have to save the user before uploading their photo. So let's go ahead and move past over to the right-hand side. And here I'm going to put in my password. So I'm going to put in that password, all lowercase. And then if I have a license type or a license number or an internal user number that you'd like to choose, you have lots of options. These do not need to be filled out, but you can fill them out and use them if you'd like. Then as we scroll down, you'll see that you can click the boxes that shows whether you're the owner, the office manager, an inspector, a call center, office staff, possibly part of your marketing staff, if you use the past call center, or if you are a third-party vendor, such as an outsourced radon company or termite company, thermography company, or any other third-party vendor that you choose to add to your ISN. Let's go ahead and scroll down. And as an inspector, you want to make sure that the inspector has their address in there. Do not put a P.O. box. If you put a P.O. box, then their route sheet or their mapping is not going to work correctly. So please make sure if this person is an inspector that you're adding, that it actually is their home address or their office address if they leave from an actual physical office rather than their house. This information will not be showed to any clients or agents or anywhere else. It's just for internal use for mapping, so no concerns on privacy. For our Canadian users, you'll see we have you set up for your postal codes as well. And I'm going to click on Fetch Latitude and Longitude, and that will add in the mapping that will help Google Maps show your maps. As I scroll down a little further, you can put in whatever information you would like. I would make sure you put the inspector's mobile phone. I also would click here Send SMS or Short Messaging Service or a text events to this user. So if you decide to add in text reminders of inspections for your inspectors, that they can get those. So that's an important box as well. Moving down to office and colors, you'll see that you have your primary office. Most of you will just have one office in your ISN, but you do have the opportunity to add a second office to your ISN. It's like having two different and separate ISNs, but under one login. But most of you will just have one office or your primary office. Then you'll see your calendar background and your calendar foreground. If you click right on this box, this will be the color of the background that shows on your ISN or Inspection Support Network calendar. So what I'm going to do is click, say, a light blue, click right in here, and then for my foreground or the text, I'm going to go ahead and leave it at black, although I could make it whatever color I want, but usually for your text, it's good to either have it white or black so it's easy to read on the calendar. Next, your serviced postal codes or zip codes. So if you have an inspector that only works in certain postal codes in Canada or zip codes in the States, that you can add those. And then your fee visibilities. So you can decide if this user can see the fees. So do not display fees to this user, and do not display agent and agency notes to this user. You probably want to leave those not checked so that the inspector can see what's being charged so that they can calculate fees and take payments. But you do have this option if you do not want them to see it. Usually for fee visibility, if you have a third-party vendor, such as a termite or a radon person that is outside of your company, this is great so that they don't need to see your fees. Next is privileges. This is an important part of what you'll be doing here. This is where we make sure we can decide what each individual user can see in the system and what they cannot see. So first, if we take a look, under Account Enabled, you'll notice that if I put my cursor over Manually Complete Inspections, over on the right, it shows what that's for. This user can manually complete and upload inspection reports right from the ISN. So if we take your typical inspector, they probably will want that. Your user administration or administrators, what we're doing right now, we probably don't want them to be able to get in there. We probably don't want them to be able to access the company log. We probably don't want this inspector to access business reports. You can decide whether they can access client and agent lists. I would recommend that they can access the client and agent lists so that they can work with their agents. But again, that's a personal choice. Under Office Administrator, you'll see, do you want this inspector to edit and complete inspections? Can they edit incomplete inspections, and can they delete inspections? Can they undelete clients and agents, or can they create inspections? So you can decide possibly if that inspector is never going to start an order, maybe they can't create an inspection, or if they take orders from you from time to time, they can do that. The next group is really important, the company calendar access. You'll see here the user can access the calendars for everyone in the company. So unless this inspector is a manager, an owner, you probably don't want them to see any other inspections except their own, so you probably won't want to click that. And view all inspections regardless of owners, you probably don't want anybody to do that unless they're an office manager, a scheduler, or an owner. Certainly most business owners are very particular about who can upload and download their client and agent list. So I would suggest you're very careful about who you allow to do that. Certainly a very trusted employee or obviously an owner. You'll notice here under Edit Inspection Payment Information, this usually will be checked so an inspector can add on something in the field at like a pool inspection or termite inspection. But again, your choice with ISN. Down at the bottom is owner access. These three things I would recommend unless you're an owner or a very trusted manager, you don't want to have any of these clicked. Certainly, I wouldn't want anybody else on my team except an owner to be able to clear the company log file, which means that you can track every single thing that happened, who did it and when they did it. You also user office editing, which is what we're doing right now. I wouldn't want anybody to do that but an owner. Your mass email access would only be for an owner or a trusted manager that would be doing your mass emails. Once we're done, we've made our decisions. Down in the lower left-hand corner, you can click on Create New User. And now that we've created a new user, we'll scroll down and you'll see there that I have added my user. You'll also be able to see here, if I click under Actions, there's a couple things I can do. I can edit, I can reset the password, or I can log in as Dan Huber so I can verify what Dan is being able to see. For owners, this is a great tool when you're getting used to ISN. Once you set up your users and you get a few inspections or test inspections in your ISN, go ahead and log in as your inspector and you'll feel very good about what they can see or what they can't see, and make sure it's as you want it. That way, if you need to make any changes, you can do that. Obviously, you can delete an inspector. Even if you have an inspector leave, I would recommend you don't delete them. You might want to just reset their password so that ex-employee or ex-inspector cannot log into ISN, but you can still get to their information so you can see their top agents through the years. And once you've added your users, you'll notice, let's use Nicole Robbins here, you'll see that there is no photo. So if you wanted to edit that photo and add the photo, you could click on Actions and Edit. And here you'll see under Photo, because we have a saved user, we could click on Upload Photo. So if I clicked Upload Photo, that would take me into my computer and I could find that photo and I could update that photo. The reason you might want to upload that photo, especially for the inspectors or the owners, is you may want those photos to go into your confirmation emails to your clients and agents to help put a face with the name for the inspectors or the owners, or maybe even the office managers. We'll show you how to do that when we do the email video, but for right now, you know how to get logged in. So you want to get to your ISN, log in, go to Administration and User Administration, and in the upper left-hand corner in the green arrow, you can add your users. So welcome to ISN. This is your first user video. Hope you enjoyed it. Go ahead and get started, and you'll be ready for the next video. Have a great day.